Have you ever wondered if you've actually experienced a fully present, conscious, sober orgasm? I'm not just talking about avoiding alcohol or drugs. I'm talking about an orgasm that's completely free of distractions, emotional or physical. No performance, no fantasies about someone else, no porn playing in the background, no emotional numbness. Just you, your body, your partner, in full, raw, beautiful awareness. Sounds unusual? Maybe even a little uncomfortable? That's exactly why we're talking about it. Today, I want to explore a concept that's quietly revolutionizing the way people experience intimacy, something called a sobergasm. A sobergasm is not just an orgasm without alcohol. It's an orgasm experienced in full emotional, physical, and mental presence. It's not about doing sex. It's about feeling it, fully. It's about connection. With your partner, with your body, with your emotions. And what's wild? Most of us have never had one. Because most of us learned about sex in environments filled with shame, confusion, or pressure. We grew up in a culture that often encourages us to disconnect, to detach from our emotions, to numb out, to escape. We use alcohol, porn, fantasy, even performance anxiety to avoid being truly there in the moment. So we might be having orgasms, but are we really feeling them? Let's get into it. So what does a sobergasm actually feel like? People who've experienced them say it's a whole body experience. It's not just a release. It's a deep emotional and energetic wave that runs through your body. Some describe it as grounding. Some cry. Some laugh. Some feel a sudden burst of clarity or even a spiritual connection. It's not necessarily louder or more intense than a regular orgasm, but it's deeper. And you don't need a partner to experience one. Sobergasms can happen during solo exploration too, if you're present, connected, and not relying on external stimuli to get off. But why is this important? Because so many of us are used to having sex as a kind of transaction, for comfort, for validation, to prove something to avoid feeling alone. We dissociate, we pretend, we perform, and we wonder why something feels missing. Let me ask you, have you ever had sex that felt good physically, but left you feeling emotionally empty? Maybe with someone you didn't truly feel safe with. Maybe when you were trying to forget someone else. Or maybe when your body was saying yes, but your heart wasn't in it. That's the opposite of a sobergasm. A sobergasm requires you to be fully here, not lost in your head, not imagining someone else, not numbing your anxiety with a glass of wine. Just here, in your breath, your body, your senses, your truth. And that's scary. Being emotionally naked is, for many of us, far more vulnerable than being physically naked. Why? Because when you're sober, really sober, there's no mask, there's no shield, there's just you. So how do you even begin to explore sobergasms if your entire relationship to sex has been shaped by performance, distraction, or numbness? First, we have to understand that most of us learn to sexualize disconnection. Fast, intense, outcome-focused sex is often what's normalized. In media, in porn, even in conversations with friends. Slowing down, tuning in, making eye contact, breathing together, that's rarely modeled. But this is where the shift begins. Sobergasm isn't about doing something right. It's about undoing the things that keep us from being fully present. So let's talk about what blocks sobergasms. One of the biggest barriers? The performance mindset. The idea that sex has to look a certain way, that your body has to move or sound a certain way, that you have to be good in bed. Another big block is overstimulation. We live in a world that constantly bombards us with images, expectations, and dopamine hits. Many people can't orgasm without porn, not because their bodies are broken, but because their nervous systems are overstimulated and disconnected from authentic internal cues. Then there's shame. Shame about your body, about wanting too much, about not wanting enough, about past experiences or traumas you haven't processed. And all of this can lead to emotional numbing, and numbing leads to disconnection. So how do you begin to return to presence? Start with intention. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to suddenly become some enlightened tantric goddess. You just need to want to feel more. And from there, take small steps. Begin with a stimulus detox. Take a break from porn. Try having sex or self-pleasure without music, without distractions. Notice how uncomfortable that might feel. That discomfort isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's actually where the magic starts. Next, reconnect with your body. This sounds simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Can you feel your breath, your heartbeat, the way your skin responds to touch? Can you slow down enough to notice the sensations before rushing to the climax? Breathwork, meditation, gentle movement. These are all ways to build a stronger mind-body connection. The more connected you are to your body outside of sex, the more likely you are to feel fully present during intimacy. Communication is another essential piece. If you're with a partner, talk about your desire to be more present, more emotionally connected. It can feel vulnerable, but that vulnerability is the doorway to deeper trust. You might be surprised by how much closer you become. You can also explore somatic practices, like conscious self-touch, trauma-informed therapy, or even guided intimacy exercises. These help rewire your nervous system to feel safe in presence, which is key to unlocking the sobergasm experience. Now, I want to be honest with you. Sobergasms are not always fireworks and magic. Sometimes, when you strip away all the distractions, what comes up is pain, grief, insecurity, past memories. You might cry. You might want to shut down. And that's okay. That's actually part of the healing, because it means you're feeling, you're processing, you're not bypassing your truth for the sake of pleasure. You're integrating all parts of yourself into the experience, not just the shiny, sexy ones. And in doing so, you open the door to something far more powerful than just pleasure. You open the door to true intimacy, with yourself and with others. This is what makes sobergasms so transformative. They're not about being better at sex. They're about being more whole, about reclaiming parts of yourself you didn't even know were lost, about saying, I deserve to feel, fully, deeply, consciously. So what would it look like to give yourself that permission? To touch yourself without judgment or rush, to look into your partner's eyes and stay there, to breathe through discomfort instead of escaping it, to stop aiming for orgasm, and instead, arrive in your body? This is the path of sobergasm. It's not for everyone. Not everyone is ready to feel this much. But if you're curious, truly curious, that's a sign something inside you is waking up. And maybe it's time to listen. So, do sobergasms really work? Yes, but not like a technique or a life hack. They work as an invitation to come back to your body, to reconnect with your heart, to stop running, to slow down. They ask you to feel more, not just pleasure, but presence. And in a world that constantly pushes us to numb out, that is a revolutionary act. If this idea speaks to you, let it take root. Start small. Breathe. Slow down. Be kind to yourself when resistance comes up. You don't have to get it right. You just have to show up. And when you do, when you stay, you may discover that the deepest orgasm doesn't come from friction, but from feeling. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had this kind of experience, or if you're curious to try. Have you noticed how different sex feels when you're fully present, versus when you're just going through the motions? And if you want more conversations like this, hit that subscribe button. Because on Decode Love, we don't just talk about sex. We talk about what it means to be truly intimate. With ourselves. With each other. With life. See you in the next episode.